Love Mission Podcast is brought to you by Success Express Podcast Studio. If you would like to be a guest of the Love Mission Podcast, call 949-566-4676. Welcome to Love Mission. The fastest growing podcast in Los Angeles is coming up next. Here's your host, Pastor Mike. I invite all of you to come on in to the Love Mission podcast today. And obviously we're going to talk about some very interesting subjects, but I have some very, very important people that you all want to know a little bit about them. But my first guest is going to be Mr. Alex Montero. And we're going to bring him in because this gentleman has some exciting ideas about what we can do in our community and how we can work together. So stand by. We're going to bring Mr. Montero in. Stay with us. Our first guest is Alex Montero, City Councilman for the City of Hawthorne, joining us here on Love Mission Podcast.
Good morning, Pastor, and thank you for having me on your Love Mission podcast. And it's an honor to be here because, we have worked together during Christmas time, giving food away, toys away. So now we got another project coming up on February 3rd. So good morning to you and God bless.
Are you tired of hearing negative news? Well, it's time for a change. Introducing How to Get Some Good News for a Change Voters Registration Drive and Food Giveaway. Get ready for an event that will bring smiles to your face and hope to your heart. This Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., join us at the Hawthorne Memorial Center located at the Betty Answorth parking at 3581 El Segundo, Hawthorne, California, 90520. This incredible event is proudly sponsored by Alex Montero, Hawthorne Council member and State Senate candidate. I'm really excited about the work that you're doing in the community, and I'm looking forward to working with you more. But I'd like to talk a little bit about this up-and-coming event that we have for February the 3rd.
All right. So as you know, I am a council member for the city of Hawthorne, for 5 years. I've been on the school board for 12 years. So I know the needs of the community very well. As a council member, and I've been striving to give people better lives. So on February 3rd, Saturday at 10 a.m. until 12, we're going to do this voting registration with food drive. And that's thanks to Love Mission, thanks to the World United Health Organization and Mr. Mo Adwala from the president of the Kiwanis Club. So we're going to do this food drive where we're going to have, tons of food, fresh and fruit and vegetable, frozen enchiladas, meat to give away to the people because we know people are struggling, right? Because the inflation, food price have gone up, tremendously, milk, eggs. So we need to make sure that people have a meal in their tables every day. So that is where we know our community has been challenged. For example, Hawthorne, 70% of the people are renters. And they've been paying a lot into rent because affordable housing has been lacking in our community. So we need to deliver goods to our constituent, and make sure that nobody goes hungry. So your fight for the hunger and the food delivery is fantastic.
Well, you also have some very interesting guests that's going to join us as well. And so, although hunger happens to be where my heart is at, but there are many other things that our community needs. And so we'd like to bring up another guest very shortly, just a second, to talk about that. But one of your fights is homelessness.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, and that is why I'm running for the State Senate District 35, that goes from all the way from Inglewood down to San Pedro, because you see, we have a lot of homeless in our community. And that is the fact that our leaders, fails to build affordable housing. And that's what I've been fighting for, more affordable housing. And to me, affordable housing, people should not pay no more than 30% of their income into rent or housing. So we need to build more affordable housing, and we need to make sure that we treat the homeless with decency and compassion. And that is where, when I became council member, I joined the homeless task force. I brought the tiny homes into Hawthorne, helped, the other South Bay communities bring the tiny homes into their cities. So we could house the unhoused community and give them all the service that they need: mental health, healthcare, job training, because I want the homeless to become self-sufficiency. So these tiny homes is a transitional period that we can work with them. Like, we partner with the South Bay Workforce Investment Board to teach the unhoused a trade, like a mechanic, an electrician, or plumbing, so they can have an income. So then we can move them to permanent housing, and then they will not be homeless anymore. So that is what we need to build: public and private partnership to deal with the homeless issue. And that is why I'm going to Sacramento to fight for more affordable housing and more programs that is going to take people out of the street.
So one of the other more important things that I deal with right now is the fact that homelessness strikes all people. I did a show not long ago about showing people on Skid Row.
Yes.
And what I found on Skid Row was a lot of children on Skid Row. So that happens to be something that is really dear to me, with children being hungry. So the fact that they're hungry and they're homeless, we have to look at another issue that comes along with that. How are these kids getting health care?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up, because, I came to this country 40 years ago, and my main mission was to go to college, because, when you go to college and have an education, you're going to be able to get a good job. And that's why I came to California and went to Cal State Dominguez and did a master's in education with counseling, because I want to teach the young kids that America is a great country. I am living the American dream, right? Because I went to schools. I bought my first home. So I want to teach them that first education, and then, to get a good job, so you could be able to have a healthcare benefits and some good retirement plan. So we need to teach the young children that life, yes, is a challenge, but you have to concentrate. Make sure you got an education. Make sure that we are fighting for healthcare for all, because healthcare should not be a privilege. It should be for all. Like the housing should be for all. It's a human right, right? So that's what I say. When I grew up in the West Coast of Africa, I saw poverty, diseases. So that's what I make a mission to myself, that nobody in my watch, no children will go hunger or die of starvation or diseases. So that's what, when I was on the school board, I built school-based clinic through my nonprofit.
What are your symptoms?
Right? To bring healthcare to our community free of charge. And that's what we need to work with these healthcare companies and the government, federal government, state government, to provide healthcare for all. And especially, a prescription drug is so high. Seniors on fixed income now are choosing between eat or buy the drugs that they need. So we need to make sure that healthcare is for all, and I'm going to fight for that in Sacramento, that healthcare is not privilege, but it's a right.
That's beautiful. And matter of fact, that brings us to our next guest, which is coming from the beautiful, World United Health. So stand by. We'll be right back with you. The Love Mission Podcast is dedicated and committed to sharing a message of unity and empowering through compelling interviews, community program promotions, and grassroots boots-on-the-ground community development. Join us on an inspiring campaign to combat hunger in California. Well, sir, I see you're all dressed and you're ready, and I'm excited about you because you are hitting an area that is so much needed here in the Los Angeles and probably all over the world. And that happens to be your children without insurance. Tell us what got you involved and why you're doing the job that you're currently doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pastor Mike, for having us on. Apologies for the mismatched uniform. I'm in the middle of training, but I definitely had to take the time to step out to talk about our project and working with you and Councilman Montero. And, what got us started, and, we started out our healthcare project during COVID, where we were working with school districts where they were being charged, very high administrative fees. They were being sold the wrong kind of testing. And that was in addition to these companies going in and billing the insurance, taking on state and federal grants. So they were, quadruple dipping. And my business partners and I really didn't like that, coming from public schools. We're all products of public schools. And it really hurt us that, the money was being drained from the kids when there were already so many resources available during that time. So we came in with a zero cost program, just like I'm sure Councilman Montero has been doing for his school clinics, and we really took care of all of the people that, either whether they had insurance or didn't have insurance, whether their insurance rejected us or they didn't have copays. And we got a lot of the COVID testing done for a lot of the communities that we could help. And that transferred into our desire to help with healthcare and provide, services where needed, since we have that healthcare network and that doctor network that we built out during the COVID time. And our goal was never to replace. There's already a lot of people working and doing a lot of great things in these communities, but we're here to really fill the gaps, and our specialty is providing the specialties in those healthcare, in the healthcare specialties and the auxiliary services. We have a lot of need for vision, dental, hearing, mental health, a lot of the additional services beyond just, vaccinations and primary healthcare checks and pediatrics. So that's our mission, and it's very near and dear to me. Both my parents, our school district employees. And so I've seen firsthand, how that really impacts when the schools lose their budget, or the schools, the students are really affected by I hate to use the word greed, but the greed of a lot of companies that try to come in and, or the lack of success some companies have in trying to come help with the lack of resources. So that's the basis of our project.
It's definitely a much needed service. I've fed the homeless for many years, and mental health happens to be something that you'll find in every family. And so there isn't always some sort of help for families. And believe it or not, mental health medication is very expensive. Some of those pills are thousands of dollars just to get go. And so I must commend you and your board for the work that you're doing, not only for the children, but for those that we have living homeless on our streets right now. It is sad. When I walk through the streets of downtown Skid Row, it looks like I'm in another country. And so if someone is interested in getting involved with helping their schools or their communities with insurance for their children and those that are less fortunate, how would they get in touch with your organization and be a part of what you're doing?
Absolutely. They can go to our website, which is worldunited.health, or, we'll have definitely be at the event. We'll have a lot of business cards and flyers, and I do want to touch on what you said. California especially has so many programs available especially for children. There should be no child that's left without healthcare, health services, or vaccinations or whatever it may be. So whether it's our organization or any other healthcare group, every child in California, especially in our communities, should be eligible and have access to care. So, absolutely whatever we can do.
So listen, I really want to thank you for the service that you're doing, not only here in the community, but what you do to protect us here in this great country of America. And we just need more people to get involved. So please, if you have some way of offering some help to your community, we'd like to ask you to get involved. And don't forget, subscribe to Love Mission Podcast. We have another very special guest who's been a big part of making this event happen for February the 3rd. We're going to bring him up, and his name is Mo. You're going to love this guy. He is also another very active person. But I'm going to ask you to stick around, Nate. Don't leave. We're going to all come back in just a few minutes and wrap this up. And I'd like to hear a little bit about how we can work with other people and get them involved so that we can make a difference in this world. So thank you for the service that you're doing here in Los Angeles and other areas I understand you can be going to as well. We'll talk about that towards the end. But let's bring on our next guest, which is... Our partnership with Ocean Gate Love Mission has come to the aid of families in Los Angeles who are facing food insecurity. We believe that no family should have to go hungry, especially when there is so much love and compassion to share. Sir, why don't you introduce yourself? You are such a huge man in the community. And it seems like everywhere I go in Hawthorne, I run into you.
Good morning, Pastor. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed, supernaturally favored just like you.
Well, my name is Mo Awadallah. I'm the president of the Kiwanis Club of Hawthorne. Also, I serve as the vice president of the Hawthorne Chamber of Commerce and other organizations. And I'm happy to be on here today to explain exactly what's going to happen on February 3rd, and also to give a little bit of insights of our community and what's their needs. So before I touch bases a little bit about what we're going to do on February the 3rd, I want to talk about the Kiwanis. What does the Kiwanis do? And the reason why I want to talk about the Kiwanis is because our two guests touched on a lot of great subjects about the less fortunate. I don't like to call them homeless. I like to call them less fortunate, the unhoused. But so I want to read something real quick to you guys so you guys can have an idea of exactly what our club does in the city of Hawthorne. Kiwanis are volunteers changing the world through services to children and communities. Kiwanis members help shelter the homeless, feed the hungry, mentor the disadvantaged, and care for the sick. They develop youth as leaders, build playgrounds, raise funds for pediatric research, and much, much more. No problem is too big or too small. Why? Because working together, members achieve what one person cannot accomplish alone. When you give a child a chance to learn, experience, dream, and succeed, great things happen. So this is what our club does.
And that is fantastic. And that's what we need more of. So I don't know how many members that you actually have in the Kiwanis Club there, but we would like to ask those that are in that particular area that you serve to come out and volunteer and be a part of that, because I can see that we are going to be doing bringing a lot of services to the Hawthorne, Inglewood, and Compton. And, we're always in Compton constantly feeding those that are in need. So we want to ask those volunteers to get out and be a part of what you're doing out there in Hawthorne, because you're making a big difference. So what I'd like to do now is to bring all of our guests back in, and I'd kind of like to do a little farewell and just find out what it is that we as a community can do to help our community thrive. So I'll be right back with all of our guests at one time. Of course, we won't all speak at the same time, but we will give each other the correct respect that we need in order to wrap this up and get more people involved. And I want to thank you. Continue the great work you're doing in the community. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you, sir.
All of my life, I've always wanted to help feed people, but didn't have the resources. When neighborhoods stopped investing in their communities, they die. The Love Mission, people helping people. We're here to help you serve your community. We challenge you to invest back in your community. Help your teens, help the seniors, and help your neighbors. That's just one of the requirements from the Bible. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. That's sound doctrine. There's joy in giving, and there's joy in receiving. Come to the Love Mission and find out where your joy begins. We challenge you to invest back into your community. Love Mission, where you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. Are you tired of hearing negative news? Well, it's time for a change. Introducing How to Get Some Good News for a Change Voters Registration Drive and Food Giveaway. Get ready for an event that will bring smiles to your face and hope to your heart. This Saturday, February 3rd, 2024, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., join us at the Hawthorne Memorial Center located at the Betty Answorth parking at 3581 El Segundo, Hawthorne, California, 90520. This incredible event is proudly sponsored by Alex Montero, Hawthorne Council member and State Senate candidate. Well, here we all are. As we begin to close this out, Mr. Montero, I'd like to save you for last to close this out. And Nate, I understand that you're working, so I'd like to go with you first. But I'd like to ask, how can we get volunteers to help you to do what you do? What positions do you need? Do you need soldiers to open up more avenues in schools so we can get this healthcare thing going on here in not only California, but across the United States?
Yeah, I think honestly, to be quite honest with you, the biggest thing that we need help is volunteers in their community. And the whole point of our food drive is to gather the healthcare information that we need from the community in order to serve them better, right? And that includes, those that are insured or uninsured, those that are looking for physicians that don't have any assigned, chronic illnesses. We need all this information, and we need volunteers to step up and help us collect this information so we can better serve the community. That's the best way for us, whether it's us, our organization, or any one of the number of great, community organizations that are providing healthcare for the community. It's really essential that we get this information to save on resources, to share resources, and to really be able to change the health outlook for the communities. So that's where I'll leave that at.
Well, there you go. You have it. So I thank you for taking time and also protecting us here in America. And right now, the world is going through trying times, so our military is much needed. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yeah.
So now I'd like to move over to my good friend. May I call you Mo?
Of course.
Mo, tell us about how people can not only get involved and volunteer, but how some of the businesses in Hawthorne can support the Kiwanis Club. And as a nonprofit, I know we cannot just make it with the money out of our pocket. We have to have people to also make the donations. So what would you recommend how people, especially in business, could get involved to help you to spread into Hawthorne and helping that community?
Well, we're fortunate enough to have our businesses involved. Like I said, because I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. So we have over 125 businesses that are registered with the Chamber of Commerce. So every time we have an event and we reach out to them, they're always there for us. So that's a good part on their end. Also with the Hawthorne Kiwanis Club, they're always available. They always donate. And if we need manpower, we always have yourself. We always have Councilman Alex Montero, and then also we have our key clubbers. Our key clubbers are high school students that love to put in their work and put in their times because they base their work on times. So we have key clubbers that are always there to help.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your service that you're doing in the community. I'm going to continue to support you as I support Nate, and of course how I support our next speaker. So tell us what we can look forward to in being able to help you over the next 2024 to go into not only just the Hawthorne area, but as you are moving around, you'll be moving into other cities. So what are you finding out that those folks in other cities are really needing to do?
All right. Thank you, Pastor, again for having me here, the opportunity to talk about issues. And I want to thank Nate and also for the partnership and for the service that he provided. Because I saw he's in the military uniform over there. And of course, Mo, we've been partnering for many, many years. And I'm a part of the Kiwanis Club too. See, the Kiwanis, I'm the Lions Club, I'm the Hawthorne President's Council. So I've been doing nonprofit pastors for 40 years. And that is why I understand your mission. I understand Mo's mission. I understand the United Healthcare mission, because we have a lot of people struggle in our community. And that was my mission was, I create, low-income housing. I create universal preschool where parents don't pay nothing for the kids to go to school or pay childcare. My nonprofit, my tenants only pay $1,300 for 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So that's the kind of thing, the spirit that I want to give to our community of Inglewood, Hawthorne, Lenox, Gardena, Compton, San Pedro, Wilmington, East Torrance, Willowbrook, Watts. I want to bring hope and give the voice for them, because our community are struggling. We need good paying jobs, right? Because here you are, South Bay and District 35, we are number 6 in manufacturing in California, but people still struggling paying rent. People cannot live in the community that they work. They have to commute miles and miles for 2 hours to come to work. And then they have no quality of life. They don't have time to spend with the kids. So that is what I have to say. We need to make sure that District 35 is well represented in Sacramento. And we're going to fight for public education, free tuition to college, healthcare for all, housing for all, because like I said, there is an epidemic of we don't have enough low-income housing in our community, because and some of the problems is residing in our leaders. A lot of these leaders in our community say, oh, we don't want low-income housing in our community because it's going to bring poor people. But let me tell you, poor people is the firefighters, is the teachers, is the social workers. They cannot pay those rents. And that's what I've been partners with people to bring first-time home buyer program, giving people at least $140,000 for their first home, because education and your first house is the way to take you out of the poverty, right? So we need to make sure that people are getting those resources. And another thing that we need to pay attention, because we see crimes is on the rise. We have petty thefts, we have retail theft, we have the smash and grab. So we need to make sure that our community is safe. And I'm the one who's going to deliver that. That is why, I've been endorsed by the Police Officer Association of California, by the Latino Caucus, and District 35 needs a leader like me that's going to fight for them, be their voice, not just the pocketbook.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. And I really appreciate all of you taking time on your busy day, and especially what you're doing for this weekend to make us all come together and bring other services. And also at the bottom of this link, I'm going to put a link up that you can register to to qualify for a tablet, and also to qualify for this amazing meat that the World United Health is going to be providing for us. And then also we want to get you registered, because if you don't vote, you don't have a voice here in the community that you live in. So we want to help educate you And so I'm always available to talk with you, to pray with you, and whatever it is that you possibly need that you're missing. And we have many connections. But that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Love Mission Podcast. I thank all of you for joining us today. Please share this podcast. And remember, we are a love mission, people helping people. But we can't do it by ourselves. So we're going to ask you to become our partners so we can go through all zip codes in all cities and in all states, and let's make a difference here today. I'm Pastor Mike. I'm signing out. This podcast has been brought to you by Success Express Podcasting. If you would like to be a guest of Love Mission Podcast, call 949-566-4676. And remember, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always